Hello and welcome to Artists Soar. This is a podcast for artists by 3 artists. We discuss all aspects of being artists, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The goal of each podcast is to provide solutions so artists can focus on their creativity and soar above. I'm Rachel Harshenko.
Jules McCullough.
Stephanie Weaver.
A bad website is like a grumpy salesperson. Jacob Nelson said this, and I think it is so true. And it's going to be kind of appropriate about what we're talking about today, because we're going to be talking about why or if you should have a different website for different products that you offer through your artwork. So, hello, what are you guys working on?
So I am working on hand lettering because I am too, what's the word?
Perfect.
Yes.
I was going to use a different word.
What word?
What were you going to say, Stephanie?
Please tell me.
Little anal retentive.
Yes. Thank you. And I've been told I need to be a little bit looser and actually make it look like it's hand lettered.
Mm-hmm.
Your handwriting is perfection. Oh my gosh.
It's so perfect. She needs to develop her own font with that handwriting.
Yes, the Jules McCullough font.
I would use it.
I need to. I need to. It's funny, this morning I was writing notes during a meeting and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm writing and there's no pain. So I'm so excited.
Oh,
well, that's awesome.
The meeting ended up lasting like an hour and a half. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. And I didn't even notice I was actually handwriting it, everything instead of typing it for a change. And I was like, oh my God, I wrote that time. And
a side note for all of our listeners, you had tendon surgery over the holidays on your right hand.
Yeah, I'm right-handed and I had the Quervon's tendon release surgery. And I didn't tell many people because I was a little scared, but so far I am, oh my gosh, I had no idea how much pain I was actually in. Because I just don't complain about it. I'm just like, whatever.
That's amazing. And you still had perfect handwriting through all of your pain. And I bet you now it's even
on my iPad.
Well, what are you working on, Stephanie?
So you guys heard about this last year, and I'm still working on it, but I'm planning on finishing it by March. Yay! Which is the SOP class. So for those that don't know, standard operating procedures, which is basically taking your repeatable processes and documenting them. And I'm even going to share with you my Shopify repeatable process for product creation to product listing. And I got templates created on like your standard operating procedure. I've got like a master list created. I'm like super excited. At this point, I'm just, reviewing, reading it out loud to make sure that it makes sense. And then I'll review it again probably next week or the week after to make sure that it's just from like fresh eyes, so as though I've never seen it or done it before. So a lot kind of goes into this, and I don't think people really understand that.
You're gonna dry run it through me and Jules? Maybe?
Yeah. I would love to do dry runs. The problem is eventually I get tired of talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I as many times I've kind of gone through this, and every time there's a little bit of tweak, or let's put an example here. This should be like 2 slides instead of 1 slide, and things like that. Because I even give, like today, I ended up doing a diagram on, shipping. So if it's shipping flowchart, that's one option to actually create your operating procedures for the visually, inclined folks. And, if then statements, you want like a flowchart. So anyway, I put one of those together, and it's just kind of one of those things. It's just kind of evolving because I want it to be really good for somebody that's never done this before. And, with the end goal of being able to not only document their processes, but simplify their processes and give them more time in their studio. Because, you like even removing the background, Julie, removing the background. I've got that documented now as a separate SOP because every single time I was doing it differently, and every single time I was going, what? Even
That's
though you
actually a
told
good
me.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you told me like 20 times, so now I've got it written and I've got a little link to a video that shows me how. So it's very simplified for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Julie's notes written down for myself as well.
So what's funny is like, you guys, we have been on this podcast, like recording. This is our second episode that we batch processed today. Talking about the SOP is probably the most excited I've been. So that's how nerdy I am. But
No, I love it. I can't wait because I've done process and procedure documents in the past, but not to the level. Like, I love the fact that you put key performance indexes in there.
Yeah.
And we didn't do that. We just put out the process. We didn't tell somebody, well, this is why you need to do it. It was like, here's the process written out, and I really am focused on doing that this year just because I want to get to the point where I can hire somebody to help me. Yeah. Which is why I've been working on my Society 6 and Shopify process, because I am going to hire somebody to help me with that, because that has a long-term effect on my business, even though I'm not financially to the point where I need to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited because just having the information for Shopify is good for me too. I can't wait.
Yeah. I know one of the things that it kind of branched off to, and today, because there's a SOP or a document that's kind of linked to an SOP that talks about your brand identity. And I remember when Julie saw that, and she was like, she's got even a brand identity document with like their vision and mission. So I started kind of going down a rabbit hole, and I said, no, pull out that rabbit hole. That's a whole separate class about branding. Yes. And defining your mission and all that. And so that might be a subsequent class that I add after the SOPs. Yeah. To kind of get into the branding, just document, understand who you are, what you want, and where you're going to go. Yep. And why.
So I think you have our artist spotlight as well, Stephanie.
Oh, yeah. So I found this lady on Pinterest. And if she's listening, I'm so sorry if I'm going to mispronounce her name. She is from Dublin, Ireland, which love. I want to go to Ireland so bad. But I believe her name is Jaanika Talts, Talts. The first name is spelled Jaanika. And she is a acrylic abstract artist. And her stuff is just so vibrant, so beautiful.
I love that floral piece of her. There's one where it's dark.
It's almost like a heart.
Kind of makes it. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, her work is just stunning. I was just on Pinterest and I came across it, and I probably spent 2 hours looking at all her stuff on Instagram and, and liking her, cyber stalking and all that. Gorgeous. Hey, before we dive into today's topic, I actually made a gift for the Artists Soar listeners, and that's the Art Business Checklist and Video Guide. This checklist actually outlines what you need to do every day, week, month, quarter, and even year. The purpose of it is to hopefully make your lives a little bit easier as you're defining your art business. You can go to stephanieweaverartist.com/art-business-checklist to grab that free guide now. Again, that's stephanieweaverartist.com/art-business-checklist.
So today we're going to be talking about why you would have a different website for different product offerings that you might have. So I guess we're going to be talking about the pros and cons, both maybe, and the benefits of selling multiple or different products on multiple web stores. I'm kind of excited about that. So I guess we're going to be talking about well, are we going to have one website for everything or multiple websites? And I can see just off the top of my head for both of you guys where it would be beneficial because you guys teach and also have art. So to me, it seems like they would be two different audiences. So that would make sense to have two different websites.
I know Julie and I have gotten this argument before.
Yeah.
Discussion.
I don't know the right answer.
I know, because, well, it was to her point, and I agree with this, is that yes, you may have different audiences, but they kind of overlap. So if you're teaching somebody, they're coming to you because they like your artwork. So they might buy from you.
Yeah.
You know, so do you have one website for that or two websites for that? And we started that conversation. I don't remember if you remember, Julie, but it was, I think we were thinking about having a separate Instagram at that time. That was several years ago.
Yeah.
You know, should we have a different Instagram for our, like in your case, your planning guide or your planners?
Uh-huh.
Or, and in my case, it was like the military dogs.
Yep.
And we didn't want to do it because we knew it would just be more work. I knew
Right.
that. And
well, it seems like you guys are saying if it's a different who and a same why, maybe just one website. But if it's, or vice versa, the same who, different why, still maybe one. But if it's a different who and a different why, maybe it's different websites then.
I need a flow chart for that. But
I got confused.
I was just kind of summarizing what you were saying about the audience, you know.
Yeah.
Like if it's this
well, I was going to
different
say
audience and a different reason why they're coming or looking, then it would be reasonable to have more than one website.
So like for Stephanie's military dogs, it makes sense for that to be a different website.
Right.
That is truly defined as a different audience, even though there could be some overlap.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very purposeful reason they're going to that site.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like for your teaching and your artwork, think about how many artists we come across that we may have taken a class from or something. We end up buying their work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like that to me makes sense to be the same.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a right answer. I will say that. But
well, so kind of one of the things I've done. Okay. So kind of back up. So we got the idea of a website. A website is a central location where you can have multiple things, right? But you can have multiple websites or URLs, I should say, URLs that take you back to that same website.
correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know I have 8 different URLs. And majority of them take them back to stephanieweaverartist.com. And another subsection takes them to my Shopify website, which is artlovergifts.com. And so I have actually 2 different websites, but 8 URLs. And I have the 8 URLs because that's what people would search on when they're trying to find that information.
Right.
So like honoringcanines.com, that's actually going to take them to that specific page within Shopify. Artlovergifts.com takes them to the artist apparel.
Right.
Well, so you're segmenting your brand.
Yeah.
And because it helps keep it organized, like you're saying,
And certain website providers,
it's a different why.
Well, that and certain, I would love to have it all on one website. Like Kajabi is the one where I do my teaching, community, and that sort of thing. If Kajabi could handle it all, I would totally be with them, but they can't.
Right.
So Shopify handles taxes. It handles creating collections. It gathers the shipping address. So I had to go with that. It wasn't something I wanted to do.
Right.
So the
It made your
functionality
life
also
easier.
plays into it.
Right.
Well,
And I think it too, look at like Walmart, and you go under Walmart and you have your home decor department, you have your
Mhm.
food, your toiletries, you have all these different departments. But when you go to their site, it's a little bit confusing because you're not sure what you want to look for necessarily. But they sell all these different things. And we as artists do the same thing. In order to make a living, you have to diversify yourself. So it really boils down to, what is the purpose to the site? Is the purpose to the site to just be a portfolio and to show off your artwork in order to be licensed? Is the purpose of the site for it to be a portfolio for consumers to purchase? What is the purpose? Is it for teaching? But there's got to be one thing that is the main reason you have a website. And then under that, you can have, additional items, but they're not your number one reason for a site.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like for me, my number one reason for a site is a portfolio. And I didn't want to bog down my site when it's already image heavy and bogged down by putting a shop on it. So I opened Shopify and link out to my Shopify site.
Yeah.
But, it's my site is Julium Studios. My Shopify site is Art in the Studio. So they still go together by their URLs.
Yeah.
I like it. So what I'm hearing is that by having multiple websites, that you can improve your customer reach and your customer experience.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah. So I think it all depends. You don't want to create more work for yourself.
No.
But at the same, so I didn't create any more work for myself by separating my shop from my other website, because I would have had to build the shop on my website. So I just used a different tool to make it easier and not bogged down. So I think it boils down to doing your research of, number one, why, and number two, how do you want it to function?
Yeah.
So I feel like you guys, what I think I hear you saying is that it really does improve the user experience with the website and the customer's maybe expectation of what they're going to.
I think it depends. I mean, yes, I think that's a true statement, but I think it goes back to like the Walmart example. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for on Walmart, you can get lost really quickly. I mean, Target's kind of the same way because they carry so many different things. Most of us
have to watch that. I mean, I think you have to like look at it from someone who's coming to your site then.
Right. And as artists, we have new people coming to our site a lot. Mm-hmm. We don't always have the collector coming to our site. And if we're trying to reach new people to expand our collectors or our audience or whatever it may be, we need to think about, how are they stepping through the website? How are they walking? What do we want them to do? What's that call of action on that site for them to do when they land on our page?
Right. So for me right now, it doesn't make sense for me to have a multiple websites for me, because my Shopify account handles everything that I need.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I'm not offering, specialized military pet portraits. I'm not doing classes. I'm not doing anything like that. So, I guess you just have to ask yourself, like, what am I offering? Is it enough of a brand separation that it would make sense for me to have a separate website or separate URL or whatever? Right. So I guess overall, would we be doing that for overall improved communication with the people coming to us, I
Mhm.
guess?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steph. Okay. So, another thought that I have is like, okay, I have, and this is just fresh in my mind because this just happened in the last couple weeks.
Okay.
So I have 3 portfolios. I have my graphic design portfolio, I have my commercial interiors portfolio, and I have my art portfolio.
Right.
It was advised by one individual that, hey, I think you need to limit that to at the most 2, because the purpose of your site is for licensing. And if that's where your main goal is, it needs to be your main focus on your site, which I didn't disagree with. I get that. That makes sense. Go a couple weeks later, have a conversation with another individual who is in the licensing business. And their suggestion was that I have all 3 portfolios right on the front page when they land on there, because it's a selling point for me because I'm diversified, and the commercial interior specifically really shows that I can work on complex projects with complex teams.
Nice. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
And I was like, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So I think, part of it is I don't want to have 3 different sites for those 3 portfolios, but I want people to know what it is I do and why they're there.
Right.
Mhm.
So making that happen on my homepage is the challenge that, you got to undertake as an artist if you've got multiple avenues too. And you're going to get differing opinions, as 2 very professional, very knowledgeable individuals giving me a little bit different advice.
Mhm. Well, I think another advantage though of sitting here thinking as you were talking about that is like more flexibility. Like Stephanie, you can have more flexibility with different promotions and different, or as you call them, like workflows
Mhm.
with your emails. To me, that again is back to better communication, better customer service. So
Yeah.
say you are working on like a military dog promotion, like something's coming up, there's like a big something at Redstone, or just in your mind, you're like, okay, this month is going to be whatever.
Yeah.
Then you can just concentrate on those people who are going to that website and like make a nice email flow and a really good outreach to those customers. And you can make them feel special and appreciated.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas if it was just everybody on your one page, like, I don't know, Joe Schmo, who's 19, who just found you and was interested in classes, is like, oh, that's cool about dogs. Click, delete or whatever. I don't know. It just seems like it is more flexible, a little bit more audience reach based kind of stuff. Again, back to your why.
And I like your multiple URLs that you do too, because you can have a URL that says petportraits.com and it takes them directly. Yeah, it's taking them to Stephanie Weaver Artist, but it's taking them to the pet portrait section of Stephanie Weaver Artist. And I like that.
And that's art fur, like furry little animals paws.com, artfurpaws.com.
Right.
But yeah, and like paintonthepalette.com, that takes them to the classes, the oil painting classes. Art business checklist takes them to the checklist. Yeah. And I did that for the SEO purpose. Petportraits.com is taken.
Yeah, I figured it was. I was just using that.
See, I like that. I like that a lot, Stephanie. I think that's a great way to handle the idea of having a different website, but maintaining control with one website.
Yes. Well, there was something else that came up just this past weekend that kind of ties into this. So a lady at Low Mill came to me, and it was funny. It made me laugh because she's like, I heard you're the one to come to about art business and you know everything about art business. In which I went, okay. So what's your question? And she said, I want to know how to build my Instagram. And I said, okay, well, let's have a seat. And I said, well, why do you want to build your Instagram? Well, I want to show more about the art process. Everything. Why do you have a website? No. Why don't you have a website? Because I don't know how. And so she was trying to use Instagram, which is totally controlled by, Meta.
Right.
To reach an audience. And she had been hacked into, like, I don't know when, but she would have had to start all over. And so by answering that question, why do you need a website? Why, or are you trying to access these people? And we got to that she just wanted to show her work. She didn't want to sell. She just wanted to show the process and how this process of creating art helped get her through her cancer. And so, yeah, a beautiful story. Has nothing to do with Instagram.
Yeah. And that's a really good point too, because when I was talking to, I had a meeting on Friday or last week or something with somebody in the licensing industry, and an artist had 50 or 60,000 followers on Instagram, got hacked, and somebody posted something against the rules. She was never able to get back into her account. She had to start all over again.
Yep.
So I think that's just more importance too of why we're talking about websites and what, that story is. It's not about Instagram. It's about who you are and your story.
Yeah. And by having your own website, you own the audience. You own those email contacts.
Yeah.
You've got a new process that you want to show. You can put it up there as a blog post.
And you own those images.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you share it to these other marketing tools.
Yeah.
Don't rely on those marketing tools as the being of them being your voice.
Yes. Well said.
Control your own voice. Yeah.
Will you guys let us know what you think? And do you have different websites for different products or offerings that you have? Yeah. We would love to hear from you.
Who knows? You might be spotlighted in the next Artists Soar, because we'll go check out your links.
Yep.
So until next time, guys.
Thanks for listening to Artists Soar, a podcast for artists by artists. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at hello@artistssoar.com.
And be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so you can get more of us and we can bring in some sponsors to help you and help us.